1866, it's me. Hey, phone, I would like it if the guide was not on its side. Alright. May 1866. A year had passed since we'd moved to the Nishihonwanji temple, and I'd become quite accustomed to my life here. Ever since the incident with Takeda questioning me aggressively, Iba would occasionally visit the compounds. I'm inclined to think he visits us because he's trying to watch out for me. But he also had a long-lasting relationship with the captains of the Shinsengumi since their days back in Shie Hall. Iba's approachable and warm demeanor made it easy for the other warriors to warm up to him and hold him in high regards. However, Takeda, for obvious reasons, still didn't seem fond of Iba. When is he ever fond of anybody? During one of his aforementioned visits...
いいですよ。遠慮なくどこからでも打ち込んできてください。それでは失礼します。でやー！一本！次！
Iba had visited while the men were conducting a training session. And Iba, being the skilled master he was, took part in some of the training exercises. His swordsmanship was so superb, as good as if not better than some of the captains, that I couldn't help but be impressed.
そろそろ大使たちが一巡した頃だな。今日はこの辺にしておくか。
え、もう終わりにしまうのか？せっかくだからもう少し八郎の剣筋を見てんだけどな。
稽古の目的は大使たちの剣技を磨くためであって、あんたの目を楽しませるためではない。己の本分を忘れるな。
まあ、しゃあねえか。そんじゃお前ら、後片付け始め。
Nagakura began gesturing his orders to the warriors to wrap up their session.
ちょっと待って。せっかくの機会だから、僕とも手合わせしてくれないかな。
Okita! You're supposed to be in bed, sir. Okita suddenly appeared from the building. He walked in, sword in hand, ready to fight. Okita had curled his lips, smirking in a haughty fashion as he offered a sword to Iba.
もちろん、自信がないんなら、無理にとは言わないけど。
Iba didn't even flinch or react to his offer.
いえ、せっかくのお誘いですからお付き合いします。よろしくお願いしますね、沖田くん。
Okita grinned in response.
まさかこんな面白そうな試合を見られるとはな。やっぱ日頃の行いと賜物か。
たく嬉しそうな顔しやがって。
掃除に八郎か。どっちが勝つんだろうな。新選組としちゃやっぱ掃除に勝ってほしいとこだけど。
おしゃべりしてないで誰か審判してよ。いつまで経っても始められないじゃない。
俺がやるよ。そんじゃ始め。
As soon as Heisuke mentioned the match to start, the whole area fell silent. Both men were enveloped in a fierce aura, and all of us watching stood idly by, unable to move. The bai was tensely still. Neither man dropped their guard, making it difficult for either to strike. Just then, Okita lowered his sword ever so slightly. In the next moment, Iba thrusted forwards rapidly and he swung towards Okita. What is this music? Why? But Okita read Iba's body movements, anticipating the strike, and deflected Iba's sword. Okita watched as Iba's stance had faltered, and Okita moved in to jab with his sword. Iba saw through the first strike, parrying Okita's blade with a horizontal block. However, Okita unleashed a flurry of swings. As his blade danced wildly towards Iba, Okita's swift attacks were hard to follow in real time. It was almost impossible to believe that such techniques were being performed by a human. I could barely keep up. Saito-san, who do you think is going to win this match? I turned to Saito, who was sitting beside me, and he responded at first with a small nod.
宗司の腕前はあんたも知っての通りだ。だが八郎も江戸四大道場と謳われる連武館の跡取りで、家持公の護衛を務めるほどの尋常ならざる剣技の持ち主。二人は司衛官時代にも幾度か剣を交えているが、当時から腕前はほぼ互角だった。
So, does that mean you don't know who's going to win?
いや、勝敗は決まっている。
Huh? Just as I had asked that. Iba's sword was parried and he dropped to his knees.
一本
As Hesuke declared the game over, Iba sighed in acceptance of his defeat.
僕の負けですね。
ま、相手が掃除だってことを考えると十分前線してたと思うぜ。
そうそう、いい勝負だったじゃねえか。掃除だって危ねえ場面が何度かあったもんな。
それは否定しないよ。でも
Okita's cold gaze beamed towards Iba as he stood over him.
これなら何十回やっても僕が勝つけどね。
Iba's brows furrowed slightly. Ooh. Coming from Okita? Oy.
それはどういう意味ですか、沖田君。
もしかして言われなきゃわからない？君って剣に関してはそれなりに勘が働くと思ってたんだけど。
Okita sneered before making his next remark.
君の剣は軽いんだよ。
Oof. Okita's tone revealed his disinterest, and he shrugged before dismissing himself from the room. What room? We are outside! You can only train outside! Iwa stood up straight, and he shot an intense glare in the direction of the departing Okita.
僕の剣が軽い。
Okita's words seemed like they stung Iba deeply.
さて、次は誰の番だ？佐野、言っとくか？
俺じゃ獲物が違うだろうが。
よし、じゃあ俺が。
Just when it looked like Heisuke was about to volunteer himself.
待った。
Oh! This is gonna be something, isn't it? As we looked towards the direction into which Okita left, Takeda walked in.
手合わせというのなら私にやらせてはもらえないか。音に聞く伊庭の古典具の腕前をぜひこの目で確かめさせていただきたい。
Takeda. What is he trying to pull? I wasn't the only one who sensed something was off, as the captains looked bewildered by his entrance.
いいえ、僕は。
おや、私ごとき小物と剣を交えるのは時間の無駄だとでもおっしゃるのですかな？
He said small fry, but damn, he's massive.
さすが家持公の護衛を務める方だけあって気ぐらいが高くていらっしゃる。
おい、武田さん。
As Hanada was about to step in,
普段手合わせすることがない相手と打ち合ういい機会だと思ったのだが。 打ち合ったことがない相手なら他にもいるからな。
As he said that, Takada glared towards me. Oh! He wants to match with me? I stood there, puzzled by his suggestion, and Eva stepped forward. Takada knows what buttons to push, is what we're saying.
いいでしょう。僕が相手になります。
では俺が立ち会い人を務めよう。
As Saito volunteered to referee the match, Eva and Takada stood to face each other.
それでは始め。
As Saito swung his arm to begin, the two moved into their attacking stances. I just hoped no one got hurt. Especially Iba, since he had just finished a match with Okita. Before we knew it, the metallic clang of their clashing blades filled our ears as we watched. Compared to the intense movement of his earlier match, Iba seemed to move a little more sloppily. Sloppily is the word. Sloppily. Takada seemed to have picked up on this. He flashed a menacing smirk, as if he'd already won. Takada didn't want to miss his opportunity, so he moved in with a strike that had the full force of his body behind it. But then... Iba followed the path of the incoming attack, and he narrowly deflected the attempted strike.
何？
Before Takada had a chance to recover, in an instant, Iba shifted the tide of the match by pressuring Takada and cornering his movements.
そう簡単に一本取らせません。こう見えてもそれなりに修羅場をくぐってきてるんですから。
Takada's face warped in anger, and he kicked the ground in an effort to close the distance between them. Takada tried to stab his blade into Iba's throat with upward thrusts. Iba was able to dodge him with ease. But Takada persisted, then trying to thrust for Iba's stomach. Jesus Christ, Takada! Wait, was he actually trying to hurt Iba? No sooner had the thought entered my head, when...
やめ！
As Saito shouted for them to stop, both men disengaged.
今のは何のつもりです、武田さん。
何とは？
こたびの稽古はあくまでも各々の剣術の研鑽のために行っているはず。それなのにあんたが先ほどから狙っているのは八郎の急所ばかり。しかも真剣の稽古で。新選組の剣は支援で振るものであってはならぬはずですが。
何を言っているのやら。稽古に熱が入りすぎて前後が見えぬようになることはままあるでしょう。
熱が入りすぎただ。面白い冗談を言ってくれるじゃねえか。俺たちの目が本気かおふざけかを見分けられねえほど曇ってるとでも思ってんのか。
As the warriors circled around the match floor to criticize Takada's manner of attacking, Takada continued to insist that he had no intention of harming Iba. Just then...
私の闘争を許さずと局中ハットにもあるはずだが、何の騒ぎだね。
局長、お聞きください。私は新選組幹部としての本分に背くような真似は一切しておりません。
詳しく聞かせてくれるか。
Takada nodded, taking his time to begin rattling off his list of excuses. Because the man has a list of excuses, apparently.
そもそも天然理心流、ひいては新選組の稽古は実戦を想定したものであるはずです。切り合いの際、相手が急所を狙ってくることはままあるはず。それを想定した稽古を行うことの 何が問題なのでしょうか。
No, Takeda! Kondo stared back at Takeda, listening intently to what the latter had to say. But after taking a deep breath, Kondo-san offered his deliberation.
先ほどの試合は俺も途中から見せてもらった。
Ooh, Dad was watching.
単なる稽古として行われているか、あるいはその剣に悪意が込められているかは剣筋を見ていればわかる。
Takeda's expression froze. I don't think I had ever seen Kondo-san look as intimidating as he did when facing Takeda.
同じ主君をいただく伊庭君に支援で怪我を負わせようとするとは言語道断。新選組幹部としてあるまじき行いだ。
お待ちください局長。私は
今回の件に関して弁明を聞くつもりはない。このことは他の幹部隊士とも相談の上処分を決めさせてもらうから覚悟しておくように。
That's what you get. I could hear the teeth grinding from Takeda's mouth. Kondo-san dismissed himself curtly.
さてと、名残惜しいけど、そろそろ帰らなきゃ。
Alright, even though things panned out the way they did, I wanted to say thank you for your help with training the warriors. I bowed, and Iba just stared back at me with a glum expression in response. Iba? What's the matter? Are you upset about the match with Takeda? Iba shook his head silently. Why must he ask? They weren't here earlier.
Ah, いえ、あのことに関しては別にいいんです。
I think we know what actually hurt his pride.
それよりも、その前の沖田くんの言葉がぐさっときちゃって。
Yeah. Okta? Oh, he must be referring to...
君の剣は軽いんだよ。
After a moment, Iba looked up, gazing into the late afternoon sky, and he squinted.
まだ江戸にいた頃は、沖田くんとは何度も打ち合ったことがあるんです。彼、子供の頃から負けん気が強かったし、僕の方が強いって言われたことも一度や二度じゃないんですけど、さっきみたいに淡々とした調子で言われたことはなかったので。
Iba's eyes reflected the amber warmth of the sky, forcing a smile through his pained expression.
まあでも事実ですよね。沖田くんの剣に比べると僕の剣は軽い。江戸にいた頃は互角の腕前だったのに、どうして追い抜かれたのかというと分かりきってますよね。
I had a feeling I knew what Iba was getting at.
不逞老士たちと常に命のやり取りをしてきた彼らと、江戸で安穏と日々を送ってきた僕じゃ振るう剣の重みが違う。僕にはまだそんな機会はありませんが、いつか彼らのように命を懸けて刀を振るう日が来るのでしょうね。
Yeah, it'll come one day.
その時のため、彼らに恥じないような覚悟と剣技を身につけておかなくては。
Iba appeared to wrestle with these thoughts. Iba appeared to wrestle with these thoughts as the sun began to set above us. The scattering of its color against the clouds looked like blood smeared across a giant canvas. Eventually, he turned towards me.
あなたは こんなところで暮らしているんですね。ここでの暮らしは辛くはありませんか？
Well,
トシさんたちから聞いています。寝食を共にした大使たちが血まみれになり、鬼のように刀を振るって人を殺める、あるいは命を落とす。そんな中に一人でいるのは辛いでしょう。
did you just jinx us, sir? I gripped my fists. All of my memories flooded back to me, from the first night in Kyoto to the Battle of the Ikdain, and so too did memories of other battles. There's no telling in the future if or when we will come face to face with death once more, and when those who are close to us will be taken. Iba looked as if he read my emotions from my expression.
今なら僕がトシさんに頼んで君を引き取ることもできます。
Huh. My eyes became wide with bewilderment. How should I respond? Yeah, only if something were to happen. Thank you for your consideration. But I have the same goal as the Shingumi. It's imperative for me to find my father, so it makes more sense for me to stay here. At first, Iba was taken aback by my answer, as if he'd expected I would say yes. But it looked as though he understood, and he didn't press the issue. I appreciated his consideration. However, if something were to happen, would it be okay for me to reach out to you for help? Iba's eyes widened jubilantly.
もちろんです。幼なじみじゃないですか。
His smile reminded me of the same cheeky grin he had as a child. Just from the tone of our conversation, I could tell just how much Iba was concerned about me. If I were in his shoes, I'm sure I would have done the same for him, but for me, this place is the only thing I have that connects me to my father. Knowing my father has key information and research on the Furies means finding him was a top priority. There's no way that I could just turn my back on what I've done here and pretend it never happened. And more than anything, I wanted to ask my father the truth about the Furies. What led to him becoming involved with the Furies in the first place? Also, was he close to discovering a method of changing Furies back to humans? All these questions lingered in my mind.
そんな顔、あなたには似合いませんよ。今の状況を考えると難しいかもしれませんが、元気を出してください。
His eyes stared with sweetness into mine, and just then...
いたいた。おい、イバ
Ah! Someone with whom I wasn't quite familiar was approaching us.
まったく、いつまで入り浸ってるんだ。お前、今日に来た目的を忘れてるんじゃないだろうな。
すまない。ここは居心地がいいので、つい時間を忘れてしまって。
まあ、昔なじみが大勢いる場所だし、気持ちはわからなくもないが、少しは俺の立場も考えてくれよ。
For a moment, the man shot a probing glance towards me as if he'd been suspicious of me.
あんたは新選組の人？ そう。他の大使が見当たらないけど、寺の中。
Did you need to speak with someone? I could go call them.
いらないいらない。あんな連中を呼びつけたりしたら後が怖いし。
Well, that's quite a reaction.
そんなに怖がる必要はないのに。彼らは別に君を取って食べたりはしませんよ。
そりゃ分かってるけど、江戸にいた頃あいつらと揉めた道場のやつらがどんな目に遭わされたのかを思い出すと。
Judging by what he just said, maybe he too had met members of the Shinsengumi during the Shiei holidays? He sure seemed intimidated by them, though.
彼は本山小太郎。僕と同じく直参旗本で表情書の書物方を務めています。
Hello, I'm Yukimura. Nice to meet you.
いや、こちらこそ。
If he's a Jiki-san Hatamoto, then he should be pretty high up there in terms of prestige, but for some reason, Motoyama seemed way more nervous than I was.
しかし、まさか新選組にこんな子供がいるとは思わなかったな。
子供だと思って甘く見ない方がいいですよ。泣く子も黙る鬼副長の小姓を務めてるらしいですから。
Do you have to phrase it like that? Are you just trying to scare your friend? Is that what you're trying to do, Hachiro?
鬼副長ってあの喧嘩上手の土方歳三？帰るぞ今。俺はまだ殺されたくない。
God damn it, Hacha!
ああ、ちょっと。
Motoyama yanked Iba and they ran out of the compound! Okay, maybe you took it a little bit too far, Iba, but bye! It looked as though the Shinsengumi's name had traveled far, even as far as in the Bakushin. However, because they had to get their hands dirty now and again, there was never a shortage of people like Motoyama who were afraid to see them for themselves. Well,